Alright folks, Colin Bunyan here. Welcome to my latest recipe. It's a rarity, I don't make this one that often, but when I do, it'll always go down a treat. I am of course talking about my bacon and beef cobbler. For this you'll need 400 grams or just under a pound of trimmed, lean skirt of beef. Shin of beef will work as well. It doesn't want to be a steak or anything like that because it'll go too mulchy. You're going to need some plain flour, well self-raising ideally, I don't have that, so I'm going to add baking powder from bicarb soda, some beef suet, some good quality bacon, some beer and some beef oxo cubes. As well as that, I'm also going to be using a little bit of oil and a little bit of butter. Now the total ingredients cost me £6.80. This will serve you 4, so per portion it'll only cost you £1.70. So let's get started. I've got the pan on the boil here, empty dry pan, about a tablespoon of butter and about the same of oil. This will just prevent the butter from burning. So the butter is now melted. I'm going to slip in 2 rashers of good bacon. Now get yourself extra trim, ideally smoked bacon. Now you want to cook the bacon for about 4 to 5 minutes or so until it looks like that. Beautifully crisp, beautifully well done, and then all you do is you take it out into a pot. Right, now the bacon's in, so what we do is we fry beef. Medium-high heat. Now some people dispute whether searing this is a good idea. I personally like the crust it has. We probably need to do it in 2 batches. Again, that needs to fry for a good few minutes in the butter and the oil. Yes. Now you don't want these to be totally black, but you want them to be well done. Always remember to frequently deglaze a pan of all the moisture. And that's just good stuff in there. Okay, that's the first batch done. We place them in with the bacon and reserve. Alright, just a little bit more vegetable oil. The second batch, just a little bit. And then second batch, carefully into the pan. Okay, now what I've done is I've put half a pint of beef stock, 2 oxo cubes, and I'm going to add 150ml of this hobgoblin. That'll do. I've got to keep the rest because I'm going to make a loaf of bread and beer later on. Okay, now what I've done is I've added about 1.5 tablespoons of flour, and it's just thickened the sauce up. Don't know how well you can see that because of the steam. So I'll give it another couple of minutes or so just to thicken up. Makes a wonderful gravy this, just to make sure it's all cooked through as well. So a couple of minutes on the heat, then I'll add the rest of the beef and the bacon. That's the beef ready. Now what I'll do is I'll bung the beef and the bacon, get all the juices, try to quick stir around, and then I'm going to add my beef and beer mixture. Now I'm not going to add salt to the recipe. It's not going to need salt because you've got the saltiness of the bacon and the beer, so you're not going to need any salt. What you might need though is a few herbs and spices, and for this I've got just the accompaniment. Black pepper, plenty of black pepper. I'm also going to add my favourite herb, try a tiny teaspoon of that, half a teaspoon of rosemary. Okay, dried will work better than fresh in this scenario. Give it a few minutes, turn the heat down to low, and give it 2 to 3 minutes to simmer and to reduce. Right, I'll now show you how you make the topping. What I've got is 200 grams of plain flour, a teaspoon of bicarb soda and a teaspoon of baking powder. Just bung that in like so. You use self-raising flour if you've got it. Unfortunately I don't have it. poor oversight on my part. 100 gram of beef suet. The final ingredient is some ice cold water. Right, first of all, you grab some flour and you flour the surface generously. Okay, this will become apparent later on. Okay, keep some flour on your hands, by the way. Gently stir the suet and the flour together, just gently, nothing too vigorous, and leave a hole or well in the centre. Now carefully pour in some water. Now I'd recommend 2 to 3 teaspoons at a time, and just flick the flour and suet in, then rapidly incorporate all the water, and it should just start to combine. Okay, now that's not enough, so I'm going to bung the rest of the water in, about another 2 to 3 teaspoons. Once you've got it into a unified whole, like so, flatten it out onto a board that's well floured. Make sure your hands are floured as well. Then grab a rolling pin and you're going to roll out this dough until it's about 1 inch thick. You don't want this to be too thin a dough because it's meant to be a covering, but you don't want it to be too thick either, because otherwise it just won't cook through. About that thick, I don't know how well you can say, about that thick should be fine. It should just about fit in the cobbler dish. Bung this in the pot, like so. Now you want a bit of gravy in this. It's not like a cottage pie where you don't want much gravy. You want plenty of gravy in this. Flatten it out. It's almost like a very good beef stew. Now, carefully place the cobbler over the top. That goes into an oven for about an hour at gas mark 5, but keep checking from about 50 minutes, keep checking every 5 minutes. The steak and the bacon will have already been cooked through, that's not an issue. You just want to make sure the suet cooks through. Look at that. Now this has been in the oven 50 minutes. And you can see, I don't want to tip it too much, but you can see it's got a lovely golden suet crust. Sounds hollow, therefore it's done. Now that serves 4. I don't know about you, I could probably eat all that by myself. Anyhow, I have been an elite, still am Colin Bunyan. Take it easy and don't worry.